I reminded him of something. I reminded him of something he said last week. So I'm wondering how this is gonna go. I also forgot to show you another thing my mom made. My mom used to make so many of these in the 70s, and she sold them like I sell hats. Raggedy Ann and Andy, but she didn't make Andy because Andy is a pain in the ass, she said. But my Raggedy Ann, apparently I gave it a makeover as a kid with makeup and a haircut and maybe, I don't know. So she, it didn't, well, it hasn't survived. So she made me one to take home. Raggedy Ann is always made with leftovers. I hear he's coming. Is that you, Karl?
That's me.
Oh yeah, you're not ready yet for YouTube.
No.
Time to get ready for YouTube. Do you not know who, so I can't show you Karl yet. Do you know, Karl didn't know who this was. Is this like a, nobody in Europe knows who this is, or is Karl just not remembering as much of the 70s as I do?
I was 5 when the bloody decade ended. How much do you expect me to remember?
It was around in the 80s too, but maybe the show is in, it's Raggedy Ann. And she has, I think, if I remember correctly, I have to do a little bit of looking here. Shh, don't tell. She's losing her pants. That was not part of the examination process. I didn't realize her pants were falling off. Gotta fix her. It's not for kids. Yeah, that's what I thought. No Raggedy Ann is complete without a patch. That says I love you. She's supposed to have a heart. and her pants are on now, so she's okay. So Raggedy Ann, this is how my mom made an extra living in the 70s. She would make a whole bunch of these. Holy crow, I started a fireplace before I came, before this, and it's so hot now. Might be too hot for a shawl. But this time I wore a shawl that I made. So if you need, okay, because we're going to do stash busting first. We should talk about stash busting. This is everything that I have pledged to do. It's 645 grams as we found out. There's some white under here too. But I haven't started yet. So this is basically all 670 or 645 grams. Maybe it was 43. I forget. Anyway, I figure it takes about 1.5 of these to make a hat, and I have to make a whole bunch. And so this is my stash that I have to do. I haven't started yet. But anyway, one thing you can do if you're a knitter, needle binding, you have to be pretty good at turning rows, is this is a Baktus scarf. It's easy. Super easy to make. If you're knitting, you can see it's a garter stitch, so it's every row knit. We're going way off needle binding today, but anyway, so you could apply the same logic to needle binding if you're good at turning your rows, or if you're not good at turning your rows, you could just do a new row every time and then bind on a border, kind of like my mom's blankets have an I-cord on them. Anyway, but you start with one end and you increase just on one side. You can see the whole thing is pointed like it's a shawl, so it's pointed on one end, but it's straight on the other. So you are increasing on one side, but you have to remember how much you're increasing. So in this one, I think I increased 2 stitches or 1 stitch on every size. I don't know. It's on Ravelry. You can look it up. It's called a Baktus shawl, B-A-K-T-U-S, which is from the Norwegian Karjus and Baktus, 2 little trolls that live in your teeth. Karjus and Baktus, which means, what does Baktus mean? Karjus is cavities, basically for Karjus.
Play word for bacteria.
It's a play word for bacteria, okay, because Karjus is a play word for caries or cavities, and then Baktus is a play on words for bacteria. Okay, but anyway, they're 2 little trolls that live in your teeth to remind you that you need to, just watching Karl over there. Making a mess. There'll be a fun surprise for later. But anyway, they remind you to either clean your teeth or to eat a lot of cake, because the de vill ha kake. Yeah, they want to eat cake so they can live in your teeth. But anyway, so you increase on one side, whether you're increasing one every row, but always on one side. And then when you get to half of your yarn, or that you've planned for this, when you've used half of it, or you like the width one way or the other, then you start decreasing on your way down. So this is, I think, exactly 2 skeins of Lang Cruise yarn, if I remember correctly. But it's super fast and easy to do in a way to stash bust. So, and because you're basically stopping at the halfway point, it should measure out. But so if you increased 1 on each row, then you have to decrease 1 on each row. But that was a fun one, easy one to make. That one I made for once. I made my own thing. Okay, anyway, so another fun thing is my cat. For one, I started the fireplace right before we went on, and now it's like super hot in here. I wasn't thinking through that, so I decided to wear a shawl. And then secondly, my cat decides to try out the new toilet that we got him. We're testing out this new cat sand. They're actually pellets. They're wood pellets. So you have like a tray inside your kitty litter box, and you put like 2 centimeters of the sand pellets or wood pellets on there, and then when the cat pees, it kind of explodes into sawdust, and then when they scratch, it drops the sawdust into the layer below, which is like a grate or like a strainer anyway. And then when you want to empty it, you have just sawdust to empty, so you can just chuck it outside and use it as mulch or something somewhere where you don't mind it smelling a little like pee. So it's a good idea, but we actually didn't plan on the cats not being used to going on sawdust. So we had to kind of train them into doing this to go. We had to put like the toilet next to the kitty litter box with the regular sand in it, and then we had to like throw some pellets in the sand so that they would kind of get used to it. And eventually, and it looks like we finally successfully, after about 2-3 weeks, gotten them to go over onto the cat sand. Normally you take off the hat before you do that. Karl. Anyway, so we got the cats used to the kitty litter box, and now we put the lid on the top so they can actually go in the house. And then the next phase is to put the door on the kitty litter box, and hopefully it won't smell so much. But no door on it yet. And the cat, just before starting, took a really big dump, so it kind of smells like poop in here. But it did one worse. So it's the same cat. You know which cat I'm talking about, Karl. The pain in the ass cat. Bag number 1, as my mom calls it. The first bag to get rid of.
It's also the smart cat who understood how to use the toilet.
That we know of. The other.
Before
we don't know. The other one may or may not be using it. I don't know. He could be, but I don't know. I think the other one's just a little bit more secretive about his bathroom journeys. But anyway, so now Karl, when he goes to bed at night, takes off clothes. He takes off the pants anyway and just leaves them on the floor. So you know what it looks like when you just leave them on the floor? It's kind of like open in the middle, and then the legs are underneath. And I keep telling him to pick them up because the cat's going to puke in them. Lo and behold, about 5 minutes before the cat puked in Karl's pants, not on the outside of the pants, but in the pants. The look on Karl's face. Yes, that'll teach you. So your pants are now upside down over in the kitchen to be...
my civilian pants.
Your civilian pants, yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. So, and then bag number 1 here he shows up. So there you go. That's our cat adventures. Come here. Come here, you. Nah, run away. That's right. I'm smart. I can show you which one it was. It's the one that looks like the Norwegian forest cat. Are you ready to be revealed, Karl? I haven't done needle binding yet.
As good as it's going to get.
Okay. So this is quick updates. The one other important update. We'll probably do. We have a yes.
Yeah.
I got beer for you.
Purple. Okay.
Yep. So I have we have a transportation issue at the end of the day. Back off, ladies. He's mine. So we're going to have to go at 6:30 for the rest of the winter anyway. But then we thought we need to do something with the background. Right now it's just something hanging on whatever hole there is, or whatever nail there is on the wall. That one up there, I'm going to put yarn on the wall, I think, and to see how that works out. But we need to think of some fun background to do. So, would you like to explain yourself?
I was supposed to do this, wasn't I?
So, Karl has joined a heavy metal band. Heilung is going to take a little break, but not Karl. No, he's going to get right in and discover how to... Do you know how to play a guitar?
No, of course I don't.
Do you know how to say I want cookies in a really raspy voice?
I think I could probably pull that off.
Let's hear it.
I need to smoke a pack of cigarettes first.
And drink a lot of beer. No, so Carl, why are you dressed up like a heavy metal band player?
Because we promised to do this for Halloween.
Oh, it's too hot.
And then we forgot about it the week after Halloween.
Yeah.
And now is the week after Halloween. So when I'm working today, my job today was to basically use a circular saw to make swords. And when I have a smoke break, I look at my phone and I see a text message from her.
You're right, Albert.
Can you be a Draugr today? And I write, fuck, do you have makeup? That's my...
And I did. This is the ones we use when we want to make Greg look like he got beaten up.
Yeah.
Yep. Or sometimes you find a bald guy who doesn't want his hair braided, so you draw
I
shapes.
have never ever put makeup on myself before.
No, and now you realize why you have to take the hat off first?
No, I have no idea.
The hat would like you to learn that trick. You got makeup on your hat. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna catch up on chat. There's quite a few people here too, by the way. While you just admire Carl and Raggedy Ann in the background looking on, very confused. Okay, so anyway, Nella's here, by the way, and she reminded me that it's Stash Busting 2024, not Stash Busting 2025. I'm a whole year ahead of myself. Audra's here as well. She's trying to figure out how to get linen at a really good price from Bali back home with her, but she couldn't fit it all in her luggage, and then I tipped her off that if it's not too late, it's actually cheaper to pay for an extra bag home than it is to send something home. We found out that it was only $70 to put an extra bag onto the plane. Unfortunately, we didn't realize it until it was too late to pack more quilts and take them home. So we will definitely do that next time. But that's much cheaper than shipping.
Oh, it's the sea salt beer today.
It's the sea salt beer today. Why don't you get started on that? This is the one you read the back side of that. That was interesting in case they don't know why it was a sea salt beer. And I sort of cleaned your glass for you. Yeah, and then let's see. James is here. James has always got something to stump me with. So he says, hi Karin and Karl, I'm working on web and knit that I've just found. And this one I'm trying to figure out what that is, but it's a weaving technique to sewing knit stitch, but it's a type of knit stitch anyway. So that one I'm kind of curious because I haven't heard of that stitch. But so I tried to Google it and I didn't quite find it, but I will figure it out. But there are some techniques that you can do to make knitting look like weaving. Like one of them, if you can do it stockinette stitch or garter stitch, but basically all these ridges have like one loop, and you can sew or literally weave a stitch through. Actually, I can do that here. Let's see if I can do this correctly. It's hard to see. Yeah, so if you went through every row with another yarn, piece of yarn like that the whole way through, then the whole thing would have like a knit look to it, both front and back. So that, I don't know, that's just one way to do like a weave look on knitting. Let's see. Then Albert is here, by the way, too. He says he hasn't started his stash busting on his kill team yet, but I told him neither have you, but we're going to get you started. Yeah. And then Samantha's here. She was thinking about spinning some of her stash. I thought that was a good idea for stash busting. Pruda says her weekend plans got canceled because of car troubles and because I got the flu. Oh no, but no, you get to spend it with us. But feel better. Garcia's here. Everybody's having some kind of similar weather today. Anyway, it's been misty and kind of cold here, but not too cold. PJ's here, just been Googling webbing and couldn't find anything either. See, I couldn't either, webbing. I was wondering if maybe it's a typo, or maybe if it was a name brand, but maybe there's a web stitch. I'm looking up webbin knit stitch. I tried to Google that, then webbin knit pattern stitch and couldn't find that, but so I'm going to figure this one out.
I've seen knitted things that looks like webs.
Yeah, there's a cobweb knitting where basically there's different cobweb type knitting too. So I'm kind of, but how it looks like weaving. So that one I have to look up. Let's see. But well, it's always fun to try to find something anyway. But it looks like, yes, it looks like it's supposed to be some sort of stitch, but it might just be a stitch that we already know, but it's got a different name maybe, like the basket stitch or something. Amaro is here, finished one sock, but no idea how much yarn it was. Oh, but that's okay. That's why we're using the scale. You just weigh the yarn that you have left, or you weigh the sock and say, yeah, you can do that and say, ah, look, 50 grams used. You can do that. The idea with weighing, so basically when I weighed the yarn, it had the little paper tag on it, so it might weigh slightly more grams than it did. You can do ounces too if you want. How do you like your, yeah, this one said sea salt on it.
Yeah, they are. I read the back of the label. They're
This is from
basically
Chin.
trying to recreate sensation.
Which
Imagine that you are on the outer islands, further out into the sea than even Chin itself.
Yeah.
So you can look at the sunset in the west, and you can look east to see Kinnaklava on a summer's night. So therefore, I made a light bear and added sea salt to it, which I think is a horrible idea. But if they at least just used enough so that I could put it on the label, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if they used enough that I can taste it, then that's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, it did say it was the North Sea salt works. Just a pinch of it, it said.
Yeah, but a pinch of it in how much? A pinch per bottle is bad. A pinch per barrel is acceptable.
And you're going to be 4.5% today. You can go back and try to read the Norwegian if you want to. But how bleak, does that mean ocean view?
It might be an ocean view, but then it would be, the direct translation then would be ocean glance.
Ocean glance, yeah.
Glancing at the ocean. But
Bleak.
blick might also mean dead calm.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that the ocean is blikkstille.
Oh, like placid, yeah.
Yeah, that means basically
Light and fresh.
you can see clear mirror images of things in the surface of the ocean.
Yeah, that's called placid.
Which is extremely uncommon for any kind of Norwegian ocean that isn't in your neck of the woods.
No, we don't have Norwegian oceans in my neck of the woods. We have lakes, and even Lake Superior is not.
I meant Vestby, not...
in the east, yeah. Oh, so anyway, say Samantha had a Raggedy Ann doll. She knew what it was. Say it was fairly popular in the States, at least in the 80s and 90s. And then the sock monkeys. If you don't know what those are, look those up. So Raggedy Ann would be made out of old clothes, usually. And sock monkeys were made from out of a pair of socks. And
I usually like Chin brewery, but this was a bad idea.
not good?
No, you shouldn't be doing this to people.
Sorry, Albert. Albert thought it was okay,
It's not
I think.
exactly a crime against humanity, but it's a little bit of an insult against humanity.
And it's a different thing. Sam Lance says, do you know about lamb chop? The sock monkeys are great. Yeah, I forgot about lamb chop too. Lamb chop was like a little hand puppet, I think.
Hand puppet, sheep, yes.
Yeah, I'm still further back on the thing. Looks like a Sontag shawl, says Peruda. Yeah, it might be. It obviously would have other names. Baktus would be a Norwegian name, but it could be. But it's really easy. Let's see what else was in here. Suza's here, Max is here, Audra's, yeah, I said Audra's here, and now they're cheering you on, Karl. Now we're at that point. I'm catching up. True Norwegian death metal, writes Peruda. Looking a little bit peaky there, says Karl, says PJ. You need some vitamins and minerals like in beer.
Yeah, but do I need sea salt?
Yeah. So... You're making me look so tan in this wonderful... see, Sue says 2 drop spindles arriving today. Oh, that'll be fun. Floki from Vikings. That is who Karl reminds me of with the makeup. You could be Floki, one of your favorite TV series. Yeah, pet the pussy, Karl. That's the little bastard that puked in your pants, by the way. And took the world's smelliest dump. Right before... What? Go ahead. Urkel it. Would I do that? Might be getting a little dated here.
He's generally a good boy. He just needs a lot of attention.
Yeah. Oh, it's on Pinterest, says James. Okay, we're going to look that one up. The web and stitch thing. No scales on holiday. No, wait. No, then you can weigh it when you get back too if you want to. Or just say, one sock done. We'll figure it out what it weighs later.
Just go to your local drug dealer. They usually have very good scales.
Yeah, but you don't want to buy a scale on vacation when you have one at home.
No, you can borrow it. The
Yeah.
drug dealer won't sell it because he needs it.
Oh, there you go. Gotta go to a local drug dealer in Belgium. You're trying to get my YouTube shut down again. Yeah, Halloween was a week weeks ago, Thursday, a week ago Thursday. So you're only a week late, says Nella. By the way, Carl. Let's see. There were some others in here. Yeah, you got a lot of emojis anyway, either laughing or shocked. They can't quite decide. Let's see. Sue says it was misty and rainy and so dry. And Santa Ana winds that we're having here. Fire. I've heard we're fires everywhere in South California. I heard that it was a fire risk, but I didn't see that. I haven't looked at the news yet today. So things in the news this week. But anyway, we'll leave it politically neutral. Albert says it was okay when it didn't taste much of salt, but it had a Pilsner taste. He's talking about this beer because he had that one too.
Yeah, it's a weird Pilsner in that case.
Baktus is similar to Sontag, says Nella, but the use and portions are different. I'll put Baktus is how the Norwegians. But oh my God. I have to cut my
It's easy to drink, but it has an aftertaste that is not great.
But Baktus with a C is also
But I should drink it up so I deserve something better.
Yeah, I got you another surprise box. We have 2 more surprise boxes left, and then we can start working on the stuff that we already know what it is because we bought it.
Do you think I like surprises more?
You already knew what you were going to get on this one, so you have to have a surprise. You want to see what it is? I have to show the stitch today, too. And then I have to remember how I did the stitch, the Variant G one. I'll have to look it up real quick. Let's see if I can remember. I have to splice.
Special Pilsner with a Z.
Special.
So let's try to find out what's special about it.
Yeah.
Unfiltered Pilsner, 4.7. Ingredients, water, barley, hops, yeast. So, Pilsner.
Yeah.
You can't really fuck around with the Pilsner because then it stops being a Pilsner. So, this shouldn't have anything weird in it, like bloody lemons.
Let's see. You know what we got? We had a visit from an electrician this week. By the way, that's another fun story to tell. So we got a central lamp in here now, which turns out to be pretty good. But can you turn that one on and just switch it or flip it so that it faces? Because there's no light right over there.
So it faces us?
Yeah. Unless it's too bright in the face, but it'll make it easier to see the. There you go, and then just turn the head. That might be too bright for us, but at least I can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, so people say how
You're even more pale.
bad my makeup job actually is.
Okay, but now while I try to remember what I did here and splice on new yarn, can you?
In my defense, I was putting on the makeup when I was backlit over by the mirror over there,
Yeah,
and
same
all the
issue.
light in the house is over here, so
Yeah,
I
same
couldn't
shoot.
really see what I was doing.
No, but it is a lot brighter in the room in general. I mean, we're not using paint lights anymore to try to light up the house, so that's kind of
Okay, I'm pretty happy with the result.
You're pretty happy with the results? Okay. So now did you discuss exactly what a Draugr is? We do this once a year, usually around Halloween.
Do you have any people that don't know what the Draugr is?
Probably. We got quite a few silent people. They watch it later, or they don't type in, so they don't know. But anyway, once a year we usually talk about Draugrs, and that's at Halloween. It's the Viking part of the Viking Nalbinding.
Well, Draugr is like a Viking super zombie. It usually happens when a man dies of natural causes while he is really disappointed with his son. As in, holy fuck, this kid is useless. If you have that thought in your head when you die, you probably won't go anywhere. You'll hang around to mess with your son because that's your new job now. They are super strong. They're not particularly smart, so they can only go... one thing you absolutely have to do if your father is disappointed with you and he dies in the house, do not take the body out through the door, because then he knows where he is and he can come back. What you have to do is to make a hole in the wall or throw him out the window if you have one, because then he won't be able to find his way back. If he is getting too annoying, you can open his grave and break all of his weapons. That might be a good idea, because a heavily armed super zombie is worse than an ordinary super zombie. If that doesn't help, occasionally it might be a good idea to pick up the body, carry it far, far away, ideally onto the land of somebody you don't like, and then burn the body. But make sure that no goats, sheep, horses, or any other animals eat any of the ashes, because then you have a whole new set of problems.
And that's how you came to be? We always did tell people that we dug you up.
Which son am I disappointed in?
I'm not sure. No, which father is disappointed in you?
That wouldn't make me a dragon.
No,
That would
no,
make
that's
him a
true. Oh
dragon.
yeah. Do you have any unknown children I'm not aware of?
Not
It's
as
your
far as
sister
I
watching.
know.
She would know.
But if
Does
I
he
have
have
a-
anything I don't know about?
If I have any unknown sons, I'm clearly very disappointed in them.
So it could be. Okay, so I have to. Now I've got the stitch remembered, but I'm going past the splice here. There's one more story to tell. Do you want to tell it, or should we drop it? The electrician visit.
You've said A, so you might as well say B.
Okay,
but
you tell it. You're always a better storyteller than I am. Plus, I'm stitching.
Well, we live in an old house with old electricity. And
It's at least 100 years old.
back in the days, they didn't really care about things like grounding and safety very much. So we had spot control by the Norwegian body called Eltilsyn. They are basically the people who check that your electricity is up to scraps. They decide that no, it isn't. So we talk to the owner of the house. The owner of the house talks to an electrician. Time goes by a little bit. And then this week, the electrician shows up early in the morning.
Yeah.
So I just have time to say hello, and then I have to go to work. So we pull out the stove and the washing machine and the refrigerator. We pull them out from the wall. They are still connected to the power.
So they can get behind there.
So they mess around and do a whole lot of things. And when we left work a little bit early because we didn't have anybody to drive us home, so we had to walk. And walking in pitch darkness along this road is not something I would do.
No, we left 2 hours early.
Actually, it might be safe right now because I look like this, but normally it is a little bit dangerous.
You're walking along the road in a green cape, looking like with a sheepskin. You kind of blend into the background.
Yeah, but you put the flashlight on.
Yeah, I'm.
Flashlight on my crotch, and you put reflective electrical type around my arm.
So the Norwegian shoulder is like this on the side of the road. There is no big shoulder on the side of the road for one, and in some of the stretch there's a girder rail, or it goes straight down. So you have to kind of walk almost in the road, which is a bit scary because it's a highway.
A lot of it is a highway that is fairly straight and right after a tunnel. So if somebody has been lying behind the mythical Danish camper wagon, they want to pass it on that stretch. And if you're walking on that stretch, you can very easily get a car mirror up your butt.
So we're walking single file. You've got a flashlight facing forward, and I got a flashlight facing backwards. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, anyway, we didn't want to do that day. It was dark when we got home.
It was dusk, yeah. So and it takes 40 minutes. So we left early, but just barely enough time to get home before it was black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we come in, I notice it smells funny, but my eyesight isn't exactly great. But then I hear her behind me going, "It's smoke, get the cats, get the cats." So I just run upstairs and get the cats that were temporarily put in prison because of the electrician.
They were in the
And in the meantime, she is checking downstairs. And what has happened is that when they cleared out the stove, they also had to remove the vent on top of the stove because it was...
Which is behind a spice rack.
Probably older than me and completely unusable. So they took everything that was up there and put it on the stove just to get it out of the way. And then they put the stove back in place, and then they turned the electricity back on. Most likely, I was the one who pulled it out, and there is a possibility, very theoretical, but I can't say it is impossible, that I flipped the switch from 0
There's no safety locks on the switch, so they just, you can turn them quite easily.
from 0 to 9
The dials, I mean, yeah, on the...
when I pulled it out. I really don't think that happened because this stove is fast.
No, and it's consistent when you push it in where your thumb would be. Then your thumb would tip it to 9.
I think I would notice if that happened. I think it probably happened when I put the stove back in place.
I think so.
But they are also pretty sure that it wasn't like that. So somebody is wrong here, and it doesn't really matter much who.
Well,
They should have checked afterwards. Anyway,
that's what I mean. When you plug something in, you should check.
They pulled electricity back on, which caused the stove to go on with a lot of spice and other stuff standing on top of the plate that now is turned to 9. So we discovered a lot of interesting science here. You can actually melt peppercorns. I wasn't aware that this was possible, but we did, or the electrician did.
And the
so it's
juniper
clearly
berries,
possible.
yeah.
Juniper berries, yeah. I wasn't that surprised by that, but yep. So a lot of things we don't use anyway, where...
Well, a lot of there was 1 or 2 newer spices, but Old Spice, there's just like a joke in there somewhere too, but because of the cologne. But anyway, the old spices like nutmeg that we don't use too much of, which is probably older than I've been in Norway. Or there was a lot of those anyway. Nutmeg, the thyme got burnt up, but the thyme wasn't, we don't use that too much. Cloves, there was a lot of cloves. Those are really... And then, of course, there was the glass. It's like a glass with a thick bottom on it, just like a short one. With a couple of toothbrushes in it. One was wood, one was plastic, and about 2 tubes of toothpaste that were near, yeah.
But what really gets me with this is, to put it very mildly, it's extremely uncharacteristic for me to leave work before 6 o'clock. It almost never happens, as in...
In the evening, yeah. Yeah, on the way home, yeah.
Yes, 6 o'clock in the evening when we close work.
Yeah.
I think...
That was unlikely, yeah.
If you look at the 7 years I've been working there, it's probably less than 10 times that this has happened.
Yep.
It's extremely rare. And if I had delayed another hour, we would have 2 dead cats in our house.
Yeah.
Which is...
There was the real high smell of plastic and melted toothpaste because the toothpaste had completely come out of the tubes and the tube melted away in the glass. The toothbrushes had started to melt, and then there was like a cake of baked toothpaste because the glass was actually on the burner itself anyway. And then I had to use I could tell anyway when I grabbed the hot pad to take it off. I could tell that the glass was probably going to either explode or break the second I picked it up, but I managed to get it from there to the sink, which was right next to it. And sure enough, the glass cracked into 3 pieces. The bottom cracked off, and then the bottom itself cracked into 2. And it was thick glass anyway, and you can see actually if it was like an old style with the wire or whatever metal piece going around in a coil, but it's not. It's a glass top one, so that was fortunate because if it wasn't the glass top one on there, things would have gotten much. I don't know, and I don't know what time they left at. I know I left at 11 o'clock, and the oven was still out, and they were still back there. So I'm not sure what time or how long it had been like that, but because it was on the glass plate, most of the heating was there. The spices that got melted and burned a bit next to it were also on the glass, but not on the actual burner. But you can see the wall, the paint started to bubble, and the bubbles then popped anyway. So there's a couple of brown marks. But because it was contained in that area, and I don't know if there's like a bit of a fire safety on it where it maybe turns off and then heats up and then turns off and heats up, but as long as there's something on the plate itself, it will heat up.
But even if it does not, as long as it keeps heating up, sooner or later something is going to ignite.
Well, sooner or later, yeah, you could see the wall was starting to get...
it will just dry things out more and more every time it turns on, and in the end it will be so dry that it will just ignite.
But the glass could handle the heat at least. But you can see on the one burner, we don't use it now. There will be a new stove coming, by the way, which is kind of, interesting. That stove is only a year and a half old, maybe. So it's kind of a new, but you can see where the ring of the glass was that was on it. Part of it, if you rub your fingernail across it, it actually is scratched it. Yeah, you're trying this is the Spezial beer, by the way. And Angela says, Amaro says the Z is for citrus fruit. So anyway, scary thing.
Oh.
And the smell of burnt plastic and toothpaste is... look at the cat trying to drink the beer. The cat just...
But that's a new thing it started doing. It never did this before. But now every time I drink anything with alcohol in it,
Yeah?
in the beginning it had good taste. He only went after the Belgian beer. But now it's Belgian beer. Yesterday, what was that? It was coffee drink with alcohol you made me.
The one they made yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that had, well, it's actually a frappe mix that we're trying to use up with Galliano. I used vanilla Galliano in it.
Yeah. And as soon as I put the cup down, I drink all of it, but I put the cup down empty. As soon as I turn away, the little bastard is there licking the inside of the cup. I think our cat is turning into an alcoholic.
You gotta be careful with that.
So Belgian beer was his gateway
This is
drug.
the one he's having, by the way, the Special
But I don't.
Pilsner, which is,
It doesn't smell citrusy.
No, but it looks
I
like
don't
the color lemon
I
in
don't
that
like
glass.
the smell, and I don't like the color, so it already has 2 points against it.
This is also from Larvig.
Smell this.
Would you say the Z was for?
No, it's no citrus.
No?
The C might be for septic.
Did you read what it was? It doesn't have, actually, maybe it doesn't have any. I'm assuming this is 4.7.
It's a pilsner.
Extra hopped and unfiltered draft quality Pilsner. Doesn't say anything unique about it, just ingredients.
It's draft quality in the sense that you would sign up for the draft to avoid drinking it.
Extra hopped and unfiltered. Let's see, what do you think?
It's not good.
It's hard to tell under all that
Being
makeup if he likes it or not. He might
being
just be
diplomatic here, it's actually pretty horrible.
But it does help you with your look to become a death metal.
Drinking bad beer is
Yeah.
prerequisite to become death metal.
Yep.
I thought at least some sense of rhythm and music might be more important, but I don't know.
I will make you another one of those Galliano things. Oh, no, we don't have one Galliano. We're out.
I have Belgian beer.
Yeah, I think we
Pretty
still have
sure
another
I can.
amaretto, though, you can use. Okay, there. We got to do needle binding. Okay, let's see if I turn this down. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah?
there's one little thing I should make you aware of.
What's that?
I have worn Galliano. I have worn makeup like this once before in my life.
I'm glad you put it on just for us.
And when the last time I wore makeup like this, me and the girl I know was making a live role-playing event.
Yeah?
And at the end of it, I break out of a room as a undead monster type thing.
Yeah.
So I had makeup like this. And to put it like that, she was so happy with the result that I ended up in bed with this girl at the end of the night. And in the morning, she had most of my makeup.
Yeah, no, you're taking that off before we go
Just
to bed.
so
I'm just
you
saying,
know.
if you want to get lucky, you're taking that shit off.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you look even older than normal.
This doesn't turn you on?
No. You know, I braided hair at Midgardsblut until like midnight. And they're like, but you won't be able to see the death metal players. Nope, I won't. It was too bad. Okay, let's see. I haven't braided for that in a long time though. Okay, old wax stain. Okay. Needle binding, variant G. So this one was the variant G one. It's finished 1+2. But the variant G, the way is basically the way it's connected. It's like Mammon or Korgan, but the way you connect it makes it the variant G. But it, because of that connection, which I'll show you in a second, is the way that it is. That's why it's very holy between the rows. So it's kind of a cool effect. But if you're looking for a nice, tight, warm stitch, this is not the one. Maybe if I used a thicker yarn, then this won't be so big in between. But then this part would be really dense. Broke one fingernail, by the way. Still got vacation nails, but one broke. Guess which one? So we're getting low here. Okay. I'm puzzled. I'm doing that stitch, but mine is not wholly. Really nice and thick. Really? Okay, so but is your yarn as thin as mine, or is yours yarn thicker? That might be a difference, because mine got really, it's just thin between the rows. But, you know, the whole thing is that thick. So I would think it'd be nice and thick, but I think it's just because I'm using it with the thin yarn. We can test that, actually. Yeah, that might be the difference then. Okay, PJ's got thick yarn. Okay, so then I think that would be it then. So I think I don't know, I like my finish 2+2 F2, but that might, for this kind of yarn, is usually my go-to for this yarn. But okay, so that's interesting to know. That's good to know, actually. So then there you go. So but then don't tighten it so much. If you make the stitch tighter, it should look more dense and thicker in the same. Yeah, we could try that. Should we do that? Yeah, put a photo in the group, PJ. That would be awesome. Okay, so this is, okay, normally you have Mammon, which is 2 loops, Mammon or Corgan, which is 2 loops behind the thumb, and then 1 forward, and under that one as well, the leader yarn. But it's your connection. So your connection here is going under the middle one, which is these, and F1, the front one. So normally when you connect, you're connecting up here, 1, 2, 3 there, but we're going to do the middle one, which is one below it. And it's also, if you look at it like a braid going on top there, you're going underneath the braid. So anyway, that's middle one, or M1 plus F1. And then you do your 2 behind and 1 forward. So, out of curiosity with the needle tensioning here, kind of hugging the gimbal here, so I'm not sure how well that will go. But we can do needle tensioning, because right now I'm tensioning it around my thumb, like that. But I'm going to have to pick this out, though. Let's see, it's hard to see through a camera onto my fingers. Okay, and then we do 2 behind the thumb, 1 forward to needle tension. Now this is a thinner needle. You take it off your thumb and you just tension it to the needle like that, and then you finish your stitch. So I'm kind of curious to see what that'll do. There's also something called after tensioning, where you don't use the needle, you just pull it to the thickness you want it to be, or to the, see, I gotta do this without not through a camera. There, hopefully you can still see. It's like trying to look in the mirror while you braid your hair. It doesn't work very well. Oops, it's because I made it tighter. And then after tension, or needle tensioning. I bet that would work. Let's see. It'll be easier to see these 2 after I get past 3 stitches. Okay, and I probably should be increasing along the way here, but I'm going to pull these out so that I have consistency in my gauge anyway. Let's see. Maybe 2 more. M1, F1. 2 behind, 1 forward. So if you have thinner yarn and want to do the Oslo stitch, for example, which is great with thicker yarn, but then if you're thumb tensioning, it would be really loose. But if you needle tension, then you can use thinner yarn on it. And you're right. Look at that. So here's about where it changes. You can see it's much tighter in between, along with my hair stuck in there. Look at that little crap head. He's scratching. Shame on you. That's the one thing he's allowed to do. But that's usually where we have blankets all over the couches, because I don't want the cats to scratch the couch. Oh, so there you go. If you tightened it. Let's see, M1, F1. I gotta tell you though, I don't have the patience for after tensioning. Be aware though too, if you have a needle that goes thin to thick, always try to tighten it in the same spot. I put a new post with my work in progress and the mitten. Oh cool, PJ, we'll take a look at that. That's in the Nalbinding groups on Facebook, I believe. I do kind of like the spiral, but this would be much more practical if you want a warmer hat. But I'm gonna rip out this much, by the way. I think I've showed this a gazillion times before, but you can never see it enough. Okay, to take out the yarn. The easiest way to rip back is put the yarn behind you, grab your end loop, which is that one. Sorry, it's hard to see. There you go. Hold at the top left, up here. Pinch there, and then pull it out. And it becomes much, much more less worrisome. If you don't pinch it there, it's going to tighten your previous stitches. But it's much less painful to take out the yarn this way if you have to rip back. There you go. By the way, everything I make has my hair in it at some point. Ta-da! Okay, I give you Karl. Let's see, back around and a go. It's really hot in here. How's your makeup staying on your face? I can't look at you. Come over here, you're too close to the light. It's making you even more pale. There you go. I have to catch chat here. PJ says, I'm puzzled, I am doing this. Yeah, but now you know why yours is thick. Okay, yeah, no, that's definitely then the thickness of the yarn that made the difference. Which is good to know. I wasn't sure if it would be too thick with a thicker yarn, but I should try that. I'm a huge fan of thumb tensioning because I'm lazy. But it's easier, and you can after tension where you kind of just pull it without, you know, just kind of eyeball how much you pull it. That's after tensioning. But you could get like this kind of a row. So if it's tricky to do it that way, but if you tension to your thumb or tension to your needle, for example, then it'll be more even rows. Your rows will all be about the same height anyway. Something to know, because there are some people that like to null-bind flat, but if you after tension, they'll have that issue.
You put me on camera to talk about needle tensioning.
No, I'm answering a question. There was another one on there too. Men in Kilts is here, by the way. Men in Kilts can't spin. I made a hat with a super bulky, and it did not have holes. Yeah, normally I have, let's see, I have one up here. This is the hat I was working on last week, and that same yarn I got to use up. But this is just Oslo stitch, but look how fat the yarn is. And I don't have any issues between the rows here. So that's probably would have done the same thing though. But this is just F1. So that's the right side, yeah. That would be the wrong side. That's why I like this yarn though, it works up fast. I'm just touching it to my thumb and I'm good to go. Yeah. What did you do today?
Well, we are producing toys when it's winter time. And we kind of, this is mostly fjallar. You know the man with the big shoes?
Now, when you say toys, what kind of Viking toys are you talking about?
Swords for the most part, but we also make axes and shields.
Okay, so kids toys.
Yeah. As opposed to adult toys.
Just checking. That's a Viking topic, by the way.
There are people who might like that too, but we are not associated with those people.
No.
So Fjallar has kind of turned it into a conveyor belt type production. And my job today was to make well, it's actually 4 cuts that separate the handle. So I made 4 cuts on 128 swords. I fucked up one of them, so my production for today is that I have sent 127 swords up the chain. Next step now is Pavel has to cut off, make 2 cuts on each of these swords, more difficult cuts with a more difficult saw. But he has like an enormous stack to go through. And then we kind of move around from station to station. Each station is completely branded and simple. But you see results. You see that the stack of raw material gets smaller and the stack of things that this process is done with gets bigger. I wasn't, I couldn't imagine that I was missing this kind of work. Where you do something that is brainless.
Yeah.
But you see results. So
That's
it's like, okay,
stitch.
I'll make 50 more now and then I deserve a smoke break. It's kind of the way my brain works when I'm doing this kind of thing.
Yeah. There was someone talking about, I think it was Justin, who also put up a post on, or a poll on one of the Nalbinding groups on Facebook as to how many stitches do you normally use? It was like 1 to 10, 10 plus, whatever. And I put 10 plus because there's a lot, but then why do you choose which ones? That's the other thing too. And it's, okay, well, sometimes what I work in most of the time is going to be fat yarn Oslo stitch because it goes fast and it's brainless, actually, after you get to a certain point. Anyway, after you do your increases, it's brainless after that. But it goes super fast, and I don't have to think with Oslo. But it's nice to try different stitches and to have other stitches, because then sometimes you want something different just because you want to be challenged a little bit, and then see what works with which yarn, for example. He's back until he's white as you. No, but anyway, then sometimes you want to try something different, or you want to use something that works better with a yarn that you're using. Maybe I'm not using the super thick yarn, for example. But it's always nice to go back to the good old comfortable brainless ones too.
So photogenic, this guy.
Yeah, he is. It's going to be less photogenic though, because he's starting to get, as his hair starts to shed, it's getting caught, and so I've started cutting it. So he's gonna.
He has a date with butt shaver.
So a few spots like here, I can barely see that now, but a few spots the hair is a little shorter because I had to cut out a.
Last year, I didn't want to cut his. I didn't want to shave his butt when we were going into winter. So I tried to fix all of it with the brush, and you just can't do that. It just doesn't work.
You have to cut them out.
So there will be some butt shaving, but I think we have enough wood that he won't freeze anyway.
There he is. That's the guy that took a big smelly dump right before you came home, and then proceeded to puke inside your pants. Not on him. I mean, if I didn't see him doing it, you would have put on those pants. You would have had... That's the guilty little one right there. He knows what he's doing. There he is. Karl's this playing the part of an evil man. Draugr petting. My precious. Did he catch up on chat? Let's see. Okay, yeah, PJ put up a photo in the group, which was good. Actually, and the fingerless mittens and the stitch, except for a couple of rows, the yarn is also thick. That's going to be good to see. I'm excited to see that. I put a new post with my work in progress, and the mitten, it is very thick. I was intending to do a sock, but I think it's going to be a hat instead. Oh yeah, I guess if you made a sock that was a little too big, it'd probably be a slipper then instead of a sock. You don't have to make it all the way up the leg. But it's nice to have something that are really nice and warm too. I started with the Oslo stitch and then finished with this stitch and made a real thick border. It turned out kind of like a beret, says Manikilts. Oh, that's a good idea too. But then you would probably want, because not only if it's really thick work, but then the work is pretty stiff too, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do a different stitch for this one, because if I did this in Oslo, now I wrapped up my yarn, which was kind of stupid, but okay. So the Oslo is thick, but it'll kind of stay, whereas this one will bend much more easily. Not so much that way yet, but so there was that. That was a good idea though too. So if you want something that's going to be, if you're going to make a shawl, maybe you don't want the shawl to be so stiff, then do something a bit lacier. But yeah, what, you look like you've got some sort of innuendo in your
No,
head.
not exactly an innuendo, but you made me put on makeup just to give me bad bear with sea salt, and one that was even worse.
Yep.
So I am really curious to how transferable this makeup is.
Piss off. I've been sweating all. Oh. Nope.
That was less.
There?
Yep, it's transferable.
You're so cute. I think he likes me. So that's how I gotta get you to kiss me? Dress you up like a Draugr, put makeup on your face, then you'll kiss me? Oh, I was watching an episode of Love is Blind UK or Sweden. No, it was UK, I think it was. I've been watching all of those, binge watching them. They're so stupid, but it makes me feel good about myself. Anyway, this girl put on this like really, really bright lipstick, and then she, they get to kind of meet each other for the first time, and she runs up and gives this big kiss, and of course he like totally eats her face, and then he's like bright red lipstick all over here, and hers is here. I really liked the way he looked. He seemed kind of nice. I think we'll be fine in their little after interviews, but it was kind of funny. It's kind of like what you're trying to do here. Get a room! says Albert. Yes, yes, yes. Before we go, Carl, I need to see your 1,000 points of orc you're going to do on stash busting.
Oh. I have to check the...
Yep, you got some time. Go look real quick, and I will see. There's one other thing I can talk about, too. I restarted. Okay, so this one, I was kind of stupid when I made a stash busting thing. If you haven't started yet on your stash busting, you're still trying to figure out what yarn to use, consider the projects you have to be done with by the end of the year and add that to your stash. This was a little harder one to do because I'm not going to use all of this, but some of it. But so the reason I hadn't done any stash busting this week is because I have to work on my advent calendar project. I can't show you what it is because it'll ruin the surprise, but I had to work on that one as well because that should be done by the end of the month so I can put a pattern up. It's Maria Lindhale, H-E-E-L. That she has an advent calendar, needle binding advent calendar. You can go to, I think it's Master of Nalbinding. I can actually write that in the chat too. Let's see. Master of Nalbinding. But if you go to look that up, there's a blog spot for it anyway, and in there she's got her advent calendar, and I don't know how many years we've been doing this, but if you want to submit a pattern, it can be Christmas theme or it can be regular, it doesn't matter, but if you want to submit a pattern to be put on the calendar, Maria needs the more the merrier, so then just send her a message anyway. But the first Sundays, I think it is, in Advent, then a new pattern will be released. And so I make one every year for it, and this is what this one's going to be. I had to restart it because the way I wanted to do it was flat, and it turns out it's much easier to do it in the round. So I redid it. I've used this much yarn. It's null bound, and it's working. So I'm very excited about that. So I don't have to restart it yet again to try to get it to work. But that's all you get to see. But unfortunately, this yarn is not included in my stash busting because I didn't know how much I would need. And there's no way I'm going to commit to this whole thing when I'm in both brown and blue. Another thing I didn't think about is I have my reclaimed yarn. This one I've used before. It was actually a sweater and a poncho. It turns out there was two things that I had that were made in this, and it happens to be the same yarn. There's also a light beige color of this as well. It's kind of this, got some extra colors in here. But the reason the yarn is kinked is because it is reclaimed. So I ripped up the sweater and the poncho. My kids never wore them, and they were secondhand anyway. And then I wound all the, or caked, I caked all the wool. This is a skein, this is a cake. No, this is a hank. This is a cake. And the skein is the ones that look like the shorter ones with the label around it. Anyway, but because it's been knitted before, that's why it looks like this. And then I started null binding with it. You can actually soak the yarn in, or just, you can soak the yarn overnight in water or something, and then let it kind of hang dry and whack it when you have the yarn in a hank like that. So you can wrap the yarn like that, soak it in water, and then whack it, which is, I don't have enough space to do, but whack it is when you're hanging on to one end of it and you literally whack, or thwack, may be the better word, while it's wet, and it'll remove all those kinks as it dries. So then it won't be kinked like this, it'll be fresher again. It might change the thickness of your wool though, be careful when doing that. But if you haven't used it on anything yet, that might be a good idea. Anyway, but I kind of liked the way it looked with the kinks in it when it was being needle bound. It looked a little bit more rough, a little bit more grove is the word for in English. What would that be in Norwegian? The grove, as in referring to the project, looks a little more grove out. I don't know, a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more natural, rough or whatever, but not super smooth and even anyway. So that's what I did. But I was supposed to make a neck warmer. I made one for one of our Vikings before that's coming to visit. The one that looks like Legolas. Magnus is his name. No, not Magnus. Niklas. Niklas is it. The real tall guy that looks like Legolas. Anyway, he's coming, and he lost his neck warmer at Midgard's Bloat. He lent it to a friend, and then of course it disappeared. So I have to make him a new neck warmer, and I should do that also by the end of the month. Course. Thank you. I like that word. That's better. Yeah, of course, because grove also means like grainy bread too. No, it's not multi-grain. But anyway, yeah, coarse is a good one. I like when it looks a little bit more coarse and natural. And so anyway, that's why I kept the fibers in there. But I have a lot more of it. So now I have to add this to the stash as well. So the stash is actually growing, but I do need to finish this also by the end of the month, and I haven't even started yet. But you can see what it looks like because I've actually did have a hat started in it and this way in Oslo. And that's what it looks like when it's still kinked and done. It's not as smooth. It's, yeah, coarse is a good word. But it's a little loose in the beginning. You get the increases in the beginning there, so there's a couple of spaces that are weaker, but you can see around there what it would look like. So I have to make a neck warmer in that anyway too, and that's also not included in my stash busting, so I wasn't quite thinking about that. But anyway, if you haven't picked out which part of your stash you're going to use yet, try to include what you have to get done with by Christmas anyway, because it's kind of like cheating. So I made my stash grow, so I think I'm actually realistically looking at 750 to 800 grams maybe. No, more than that, because I think the Advent project's going to be at least 100 grams, and the neck warmer is about 150 to 200 grams. So I have more of these. I don't know. Didn't think that one through, did I? Okay. Anyway, Karl, did you find some orcs?
Yeah, there is a lot of orcs, but the one I'm looking for, I can't find.
You can't find the one that's not the orc you're looking for?
This is not the orcs I'm looking for.
It's not the orcs you're looking for. Okay, well, show us a orc. Pick an orc that you're going to add to your stash. And then tell me how the point system works. Stampa is up on the shelf over behind me, though, if you wanted. We did look at Stampa before, so... Oh, okay, you brought... Yeah, because the cats were starting to... They would... At the nighttime, they like to play, and then if you have anything on the table, they run across the table, they chase each other. That's the fun thing about having two cats. They keep each other entertained, but they also run and play and knock everything on the floor. So don't leave breakable stuff on the floor. Don't leave Stampa on the floor. I'll put this back up here. So I'm going to show the camera up this way first before you come around, though, Karl. So up there on the wall, we've got these little IKEA frame shelves that we put on there, and you can see there's these little figures up there. We put those in there to try to find a way to keep them away from the cats, but also so that he could find them in different processes. And some are painted, but they're all assembled at least anyway. Some of them are just primered.
Oh, I have 3 times as much that isn't assembled.
Sorry, zoom back out first.
Maybe 4 or 5 times that much that isn't assembled.
Yeah, no, he's got lots. Okay, show him what it is and tell him. More organics, is Pruda. That's also good. You guys are really good at translating Norwegian for me. Okay, show him what you got. And how many points is this worth? Because you're doing 1,000 points. Albert said he was thinking about 1,000 points as well. That's what actually gave you the idea.
The Stampa is 800 points alone. So these guys...
Stampa's big, though. He's like...
Compared to that, these guys are small potatoes.
Yeah.
But this guy is what the orcs call a Big Mac, which is basically...
Hold him a little closer, he's so black. There you go.
Imagine if the American army took the best mechanic they could find in their motor pool and made him a 4-star general, and also gave him some major anger management issues and some magical abilities. Then you would be at about this level.
Okay. And what does this guy have a name? Just orc from the left?
He doesn't have a name yet. I can name him, but I want him to do something first. He has to earn his name.
Oh, he has to earn his name. Okay. So, and then you have another one there too you want to show.
Yeah.
How many points is this one you said?
He is...
You can see him a little bit better there.
70 points.
70, and he has a drill for an arm.
Well,
he has a wrench in his hand and a drill on his arm and a machine gun. I don't know what in the hell he has. He's like, he could bore holes in your street.
What he has, the correct orcish term for the thing he has in his left hand is custom Mega Blaster.
Custom Mega Blaster. Okay, and how many points did you say he was?
70.
70, okay. So this is already put together. Some of them aren't put together, but it still needs to be, and it's been primed, so it's like this black color now. But now we have to paint it and then lacquer it or something we should do, and then it's all done. And then you have this other one you want to show too?
Yeah.
So first you would have to assemble them, unless you're cheating and taking the ones that are already assembled, but you have so many assembled, that's not a bad idea. And then you have to paint them, and then they're, base them, and then paint, prime them, and then paint them, and then they're done. This is what?
These ones come in units of 3 or more. It's called a Defcopter. So it's basically an orcish helicopter. You'll see that. Whoops.
Don't break it. Oh, he did. He took the base off. So he's backstash busting.
I remember this is the one that was broken, so I just kind of gave it a temporary repair.
Oh, he went way
No,
under the
I'm
coach.
willing to bet money that the rotor probably fell off, so I have some more repair work to do on this.
Oh, my yarn went under the... I had more yarn under the coach. I had 2 of these. You have to get actually down and look. I think it went pretty far back. You want to see what Karl looks like on his knees? No, I'll move it here for a second. Let's see. Well, I was going to see what else was on chat there too, by the way. I'm not so much stash busting as stash building, says PJ. I saved a load of money this week on refunds and really good reduction after a complaint. So I took my extra money to do a wool shop. So you're adding to your stash. So I was thinking, you know, another one was going to stash bust their spinning wool by, their roving by spinning the wool into yarn. So technically they're creating more stash too, I thought. But that's actually, you know, I stash built too, just so you know. I had to... I like that one though. It's the thought that counts. Karl on his knees, something romantic coming up. Oh God, no. I'm gonna wait a little bit more for that. I've been married before. There he is, on his knees.
No ring, just an orc.
No ring, just an orc. Sorry. No, I was married for 15 years. I'm not in a hurry to do that again. Although Karl, actually, what's the date today? It's November 9th. So in about 3 weeks, you and I will have been together, officially together, for 4 years. That means
No,
we've been
actually together for 4 years.
Yeah, actually November, yeah, because we were, I think,
We were unofficially together for like 2 weeks after that.
yeah.
But when even the blacksmith manages to catch on, it's no reason to keep it secret anymore.
No, because it was well, December 5th is when we crossed the line, and that, so that's about how long. So yeah, no, it looks like time has been good to you. Your time with me. No, so that'll be fun. No, I've known you way longer than that, but you have to come over here though, because the thing. Okay, tell me about this one, and then we got to get going. Because we're overtime now.
Yeah, so these are basically orcish helicopters. They are sometimes gasoline operated, sometimes they work by steam, and sometimes they work just because the orc really wants it to work. They have an assortment of weapons, but they're also pretty good in close combat because orcs likes to be close up and personal. So even if you are flying a helicopter, if you see somebody you really need to headbutt, you will headbutt them.
Axe is using Polyarvi, if I said that right, a Polyarvi stitch in the Russian video, and I noticed that the lady seems to work flat without any thumb loops by what appears to be like a weaving style. I'll take a look at that one. I can't remember what that is offhand. I still have to go back and look to see how they did the stitch.
So what's flat Russian and has no thumbs?
Well, Russian is flipped on the backside. Flat Russian has no thumbs. You're kind of sick. By the way, when you wind your yarn, always wind it a bit loose. So here, when I wind it, I do around 2 fingers and then take the fingers out. The reason for this is you're not changing the tension of your yarn by making it too tight.
Fuzzy, do you think I should drink more of the horrible bear?
Okay, I'm expecting at least that one to be glued by next week. Do you think? Are you going to be able to do 1,000 points?
Well, 800 of them are done as soon as I paint the stump.
Yeah, that's true. But you're still going to have to...
If I find...
I just realized there's 2020 I did it, 2021, 22, 23. I think 2020 stash busting was just a test anyway, but I failed the last 2.
If I find out where I put Gashgul,
yeah?
then he is 235 points.
Okay.
So him and the Stomper will put me over. I also have to paint his goblin, but he has a small goblin.
Nella,
Pretty
the
quick.
Finlander says, Puljärvi hasn't been Russian since 1917. I like that. 4th of October was my girlfriend's 6th year. Albert and his girlfriend's 6th year anniversary. Oh, they were together when they came here the first time too. Oh, you young ones, I'll be together with my husband for 40 years next year. Good job. You're probably still with number 1 though, huh? My number 1 was 15 years, and so you're number 2.
Well, yeah,
Well, there's the speed bump in between the two of you, but
I'm planning to beat the 40-year mark unless I get killed by a Spanish tourist on archery.
there you go. Okay, so last thing before we go, because we're on overtime now. Yeah, we did decide, you can come up with an idea too, maybe. I don't know, if to decorate this back wall, because we've decided that due to transportation issues this winter, or options, we don't have a lot of transportation options here. We are going to have to start at 6:30, like we did today in the last 2 weeks, for pretty much the whole winter. So it's going to, and then maybe we'll try to go back to 6 o'clock again once the season starts up, or around March or so. But so then we'll start working on the background. I'll see if I can start.
You are the YouTuber. You know what YouTubers usually do when they have a blank wall behind them.
If we do the green screen thing?
Yeah, that's an idea too.
Yeah.
But you can ask your followers to send you nudes.
Yeah, we need nudes on there because Karl hasn't figured out how to crash the YouTube that way too. Jeez, you're gonna get me completely banned. Yeah, I was on the school trip, Albert. That's when he came to. That's the first time we met Albert and his girlfriend. They were on their class trip with Folkehögskolan School in Viking to Gudvangen. Yep. No, so anyway, my thought is that's what this pegboard is here. I was going to try to put cakes up there. I can probably do some more.
Well, obviously, don't send us nudes. But if you have anything that we can put on the
An
wall,
idea, maybe.
We have access.
What are you thinking of?
No, we have access to a printer.
Yeah.
So if they have a good picture or anything they think we should put on the wall, we can do that.
We can do that. That would be kind of fun.
And seriously, no nudes.
Your makeup is making my nose itch. Seriously, no nudes. Okay, anyway, so see you next week on Saturdays, no problem, but it will be at 6:30. So same time as this one in the last couple weeks that we had. And then Karl, do you have any expectations? Do we just have this expectation, or are you going to surprise us with some other goofy stuff? I don't see you drinking that beer very quickly.
That beer was genuinely a crime against humanity.
It was special.
It was very, very special. The people who made it are also probably very, very special.
If a Norwegian says you're special, it's an insult, by the way. Well, he's special. Okay, see you next weekend. Ah, yes, thank you for sending. Perfect. Okay, I will, yeah. Bye-bye.